From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. Ooh, coming out of a weekend funk. You know? Remember that scene in Annie Hall? It's a flashback to the Woody Allen character's childhood. And his mother has taken him to a psychiatrist, and she tells him that he's moody and he doesn't want to do anything, doesn't want to go to school, because he just learned that the universe was expanding. And the little kid says to the doctor, well, yeah, the universe is expanding and someday it'll just be nothing. So what's the point? Why should I care about anything? Why should I go to school? Well, I bring that up because sometimes I get in that mood. This was a hell of a weekend, starting with the 200 plus, or I don't know what the death count is now, the bomb in Afghanistan that killed nearly or over 200 civilians and 13 U.S. Military personnel. And then just the news over the weekend about, the continuing news about COVID, Hurricane Ida. I just felt like, what's the point? What's the point of caring? What's the point of going on? And then a couple of, as I speak, a couple of strikes by U.S. military, drone strikes, in a war that's supposed to be ending for the U.S. And watching the flag-draped coffins come home, I just kind of had it. I've been in a mood. And then... Then you have this little internal fight with yourself. I don't know if you relate to this at all. Do you relate to this? You have a little internal fight with yourself. Okay, you're making it all about you. What does this have to do with you? Why are you getting depressed? Why are you feeling bad? Your life is fine. And it is. My life is fine. And so I have that fight. You're just being selfish. You're being egomaniacal to let this affect you this way. It's not about you and your mood. Hey. And this little fight I have makes me feel even worse. It's been a bad weekend. I'm going to try to have a better week. Try to have a better attitude. Maybe I'll play the lottery. I mentioned that because I saw a couple of headlines on the same day. A Kansas Mega Millions player wins $20,000 on her first try. Kansas woman who decided to buy her very first ever Mega Millions ticket said a group of numbers randomly chosen by her friend ended up winning her a $20,000 prize. Tony James of Wichita told Kansas lottery officials she has played Powerball and Lotto America in the past, but decided to buy a Mega Millions ticket for the first time during an August 13th stop at the Quick Trip gas station in Wichita. It was the first time I've ever played Mega Millions, so I don't really know how to fill out the play slip. I told my friend to fill out the first numbers that came to his head, James said. So I don't know. I don't play. I don't think I've bought more than one or two tickets in my entire life. I think maybe I did way back when it was first introduced, when it first became a thing. And since then, I haven't. I don't know. The odds are just astronomical. I tell you, the most frustrating thing in the world is to be in line at a store that sells lotto tickets. I remember I used to just get so indignant about it, especially when my kids were young. And maybe I'd stop on the way home from work, have to pick up some, basics, some milk and cereal or something. And I'm in line. And here's some guy up in front of me spending 15 minutes choosing which lotto tickets he wants. And he's scratching them right there on the spot, and he's cashing them in. And it's like, I got milk and bread for children here I'm trying to pay for. And I felt so self-righteous and angry at these people holding me up. I got a life to live. I got kids to take care of. I got staples here I'm trying to buy. and you're up in front of me gambling. Oh, yeah. I think they should have separate stores call it the Vice store. That's where you get your cigarettes. That's where you get your lotto tickets. That's where you get your high sugar stuff. All the things that are bad for you. Just put them all into one store. Let's just stop kidding each other. And let's open up the checkout line for those of us who need to buy good, wholesome products for our children, for our growing children. Yeah, a Vice store. I think that's a good idea. All the vices in one place. So the anti-vaxxers are dying, or they're in the hospital. I'm seeing headlines like this every day. Anti-vaxxer radio host Mark Bernier called the U.S. government Nazis. Now he is dead from COVID. Now, I got a bunch of these, and forgive me, I've been sort of collecting them over the last few days. So if any of them need updating, that might be the case. I don't know if some of these people have recovered. Some of them are dead. This guy's dead. According to the Daytona Beach News Journal, the host was an anti-vaxxer for years. Bernier had issues with vaccines for years. Mel Stack, an attorney and friend who regularly advertised on the program, said Bernier's anti-vaccination views were not based on politics, but personal experience based on how he believed vaccines had impacted people near to him. Bernier's concerns extended to the COVID-19 vaccines. In his final tweet, Bernier compared the U.S. government to Nazis. No, that doesn't sound political. You just said it wasn't political. Hey. Republicans and right-wingers are using their freedom to choose death. It is difficult to feel sympathy for people who are choosing not to take a vaccine that would save their lives. People like Mark Bernier chose to die. He could have taken a free vaccine that would have prevented an agonizing 3-week death, but he put politics and anti-vaccine beliefs ahead of saving his own life. And of course, not only his life, God knows how many people he spread the disease to. It's a public health issue. Politics USA is the site I'm looking at the moment. Here's another one. Texas anti-mask freedom rally organizer fighting for his life with COVID-19. Again, this is from a couple days ago, so I don't know what the update is. A Texas man who helped organize protests against pandemic restrictions is fighting for his life after being hospitalized for nearly a month with COVID-19, according to the San Angelo Standard Times report. His wife, Jessica Wallace, wrote Wednesday on Facebook that she had a heartbreaking update about her husband, Caleb. He's not doing good. It's not looking in our favor, she said. His lungs are stiff due to the fibrosis. They called and said they've run out of options for him and asked if I would consent to a do not resuscitate, and it would be up to us when to stop treatments. So, I'm not heartless. I'm not going to make jokes about this. And certainly there are families involved. There are other people involved. So, no, I'm not going to make fun of it, but I am going to note that it's happening. And again, every single day there are more headlines. Republican lawmaker attends anti-vaxxer rally just days after his unvaccinated wife died of COVID-19, according to reports. A Republican lawmaker in Maine who reportedly lost his unvaccinated wife to COVID-19 attended an anti-vaxxer protest just over a week after her death, according to the Daily Beast. Well, what is the, God almighty? State Representative Chris Johansson, who has vocally opposed coronavirus restrictions, joined GOP lawmakers at the Augusta rally to protest Democratic Governor Janet Mills' mandate that all healthcare workers get vaccinated, Newsweek reported. At the Tuesday event, a Republican colleague reportedly compared Mills to Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who performed cruel experiments on Jewish prisoners at death camps during the Holocaust, the Daily Beast said. According to the media outlet, Johansson's wife, Cindy Johnson, died a week earlier on August 10th. These reporters can't confirm, but there is pretty clear evidence that the wife did die of COVID-19, according to several Facebook posts that she herself shared prior to her death. So no independent confirmation outside of that, but they do have the Facebook posts. So yeah, she died of COVID, and he's sticking to his guns. So this stuff is just, it's just disgusting. And it's baffling. Here's another one. Anti-vaxxer dies of COVID 9 days after saying virus is nothing to be afraid of. A healthy man who died of COVID after refusing to get the vaccine made a terrible mistake, his partner has said. Leslie Lawrenson, 58, died at his home on July 2nd after downplaying his symptoms and declining to go to the hospital. His long-term partner, Amanda Mitchell, 56, who was severely ill with the virus at the time, said he believed the vaccines were too experimental and put his family at risk. And as I've said, and as I'll keep saying, it's not just putting yourself at risk. It's not just putting your family at risk. It's putting everyone you're in contact with at risk. So many. Nurse issues warning against COVID misinformation after her anti-vaxxer mother dies of the virus, aged 57. Phil Valentine, anti-vax and anti-mask radio host, dies at 61 of COVID complications. So every day, there's more of them every day. And we could get snarky about this. We could make jokes. We could say, I told you so. We could say, serves you right. And all of those things would probably be justified, but it's just damn sad. It's tragic. And again, I'm thinking way more about other people. Not just these nut jobs who choose so-called freedom over their own lives. If that's the way they want to go out, fine, go out. But damn it, you're infecting your family. You're infecting children in your family. You're infecting everyone who comes in contact with you. This is a public health emergency. God bless America. Caleb Wallace, a leader of the anti-mask movement in Central Texas who became infected with the coronavirus and spent 3 weeks in an intensive care unit, has died, his wife Jessica said on Saturday. Is this the guy I talked about? No, I'm confused. Caleb has peacefully passed on. He will forever live in our hearts and minds, Mrs. Wallace wrote in a post on a GoFundMe, where she had been raising money to cover medical costs. Holy shit. God, what? How much nerve does it take to be an anti-vaxxer and then get sick and then ask for money? Mrs. Wallace had said recently that her husband's condition was declining and that doctors had run out of treatment options. On Saturday, he was to be moved to a hospice at Shannon Medical Center in the city of it's the guy I was already talking about, San Angelo, so that his family could say their goodbyes. Mrs. Wallace, who is pregnant with the couple's fourth child, recently told the San Angelo Standard-Times that when her husband first felt ill, he took a mix of vitamin C, zinc, aspirin, and ivermectin, a drug typically used to treat parasitic worms in both people and animals that has been touted as a coronavirus treatment, but was recently proved to be ineffective against the virus. Mr. Wallace, 30, who campaigned against mask mandates and other COVID policies that he saw as government intrusion, lived in San Angelo for most of his life and worked at a company that sells welding equipment. Caleb has peacefully passed away. 3 weeks on a ventilator, gasping for your final breaths. I don't think that's peaceful. There's nothing peaceful about that. Oh, here's one more. Anti-vaccine Christian Prophecy radio host. There's another one from Tennessee. Jimmy DeYoung Sr. promoted the idiotic conspiracy theories that the Pfizer vaccine makes women sterile, that vaccines are a plot for government control, and that almost no one who gets COVID dies from it. He called the vaccine only a supposed solution and not truly a vaccine. Anti-vaccine Christian Prophecy radio host Jimmy DeYoung. Oh, the stupid. God, the stupid out there. I don't know. Maybe just all of them falling over one by one might make some difference. Maybe these family members might see the light. That's often, maybe half the time, as part of these articles that you'll see. Oh, okay, the family, the wife, the husband, whoever, the daughter, the son, now asking people to get vaccinated. Something else I need to say, really want to say, before this episode ends, about Afghanistan. Now, this is a big old complicated mess of a problem. And I'm not going to offer real confident solutions. But I think what I want to say is this. One, we have every right and every responsibility as citizens to care very much about military matters. We are the ones who elect the president and members of Congress. And they, in turn, are the civilian leadership of the military. That's the way this country is designed, if you need to be reminded. We don't just bow to military leaders. One of the things that the founders got right, in my opinion, in the Constitution, is putting the military under civilian control. That's a defining characteristic of the American military design. It is under civilian control. That's the way it ought to be. That's the way it must be in a democratic republic. So as such, our opinions do matter. I'm afraid too many of us just want to bow down to the military. There's a worship. We fetishize the military. We worship them. We feel that they're above any criticism. And that's just simply not the way this country is supposed to work. Civilian control. And we're the ones who elect those civilians. So don't be ashamed to have an opinion. It's our right and our duty as citizens and as voters to weigh in. Now, you can do it with a little humility, which I'm going to try to do today. I do have some humility because this is a big, complicated problem. But I'm going to offer a couple of thoughts. So there's that. Number two, and this I blame the profit-driven media for, and also our sham two-party system. And that is, you always have to be on one side or another of diametrically opposed positions. All of us feel obliged to choose a camp and to stick to it, and to define my camp as opposite of your camp. Now, you know I'm an enemy of centrism, so no, I'm not consenting to centrism. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I am saying is this. Two things can be true at the same time. Many things can be true at the same time. And I think this Afghanistan withdrawal, there's no clearer illustration of this. So, for example, I can praise the troops, praise the military for the extraordinary job they're doing. It really is pretty amazing. We haven't seen anything like this, really, in all of human history. Over 100,000 people evacuated. This is an amazing feat. You know what else is true? It's completely effed up, and people are being left behind, and the planning was abysmal. The intelligence was completely screwed up. Both things can be true at the same time. Yeah, there was a high-level screw-up. You can put Joe Biden in that same category. He is sticking to his guns. He knows this war is wrong and has been for years. He's not apologizing. He is doing a little bit of self-serving. He gets a little defensive at times, I'll give you that. My point is, don't feel like you have to paint yourself into a corner regarding anything. And right now, regarding Joe Biden. You know me. I never liked him as a presidential candidate. He was my very last choice. Of all the multitudes of Democratic candidates in the primaries, he was my last choice. But I'm going to give him a ton of credit for sticking to it, for seeing the decision as it was handed to him by his predecessor, and making a choice. So, two things or many things can be true at the same time. He's doing a great job, and he screwed up. Now, here's where I'll get into some speculation. And I want to say that out front because it's pure speculation. All right? This is a genuine question. And sometimes this is useful. I should be in the Oval Office. I should be in the room. Just spitballing. Now, what if, guys? What if? And then the experts can tell me where I'm right and where I'm wrong. Okay, so here's me spitballing. You know it's going to be, and I hate this word messy. They keep using the word messy. I think that's very dismissive of the actual events. But you knew it was going to be quote unquote messy. You knew it was going to be horrible, this withdrawal. So here's my spitballing. Why not send in like an overwhelming number of troops to end this war? Send in like 500,000 boots or more. And completely, absolutely guarantee that you're going to be in charge of Kabul and of the airport and of the Afghanistan government. This is long before Taliban took over. Your intelligence should have known, yeah, they're toppling provincial capitals one after another after another. Kabul's going to be the last to fall. And Joe told us less than a month ago, oh, don't worry, we'll get out before then. But of course, the intelligence was wrong. You shouldn't have taken any chances. Send in 500,000 troops, guarantee that all the diplomats, the entire embassy, the whole complex, every American in Kabul, the airport, all of it, completely protected. It's like the guy holding hostages, right? He's got his gun pointed, holding everybody back, and the hostages are all getting on a bus. You create an unimpenetrable perimeter, guns drawn, say everybody stay back, while you escort every single goddamn person in that country who wants out. You get them out, as long as it takes. 500,000 troops, get them out, one by one by one by one. And then as you leave, just like the hostage taker, you walk backwards, pointing your gun. You're the last guy onto that plane, and you fly away. Why wasn't it just a shock and awe and just an overwhelming amount of troops to get this job done? That's me spitballing. And admittedly, in hindsight. But you guys, you pros, you're supposed to know better than I. You're supposed to know way better. How in the world did this happen? Now, once it did start, once the shit did start to hit the fan, the military on the ground did an amazing job with what they could do. Tens of thousands every single day flown out. Amazing. I guess I just really want to leave you with that bottom line is two things or three things or many things can be true at the same time. Don't feel like you have to, in my case, jump on Joe Biden. I think he's doing a lot of things right. I think the fact that he's sticking to his guns is right. I think the fact that he's taking some responsibility, that he is talking tough, that he did go to meet those flag-draped coffins. There's a lot about this he's doing right. Mostly what I think he did wrong was on the front end. And that, just by its very nature, is second guessing. I mean, I confess that. But I don't know how the intelligence didn't get this right. I don't know how you let the Taliban take Kabul while you're still there. That seems to me just unforgivable and avoidable, completely preventable. How did you not know this? I don't get it. I don't get it. Every single refugee who wants out should have gotten out. Certainly, the ones that got all the press, the interpreters, the people who helped, the drivers and the cooks and whoever else assisted in the American effort there. Every single goddamn one of them should have gotten out before the first military personnel left. And yeah, easy hindsight. But again, don't let them paint you into a corner. Many things can be true at the same time. Lots of blame to throw around, lots of credit to throw around, including, of course, the Orange Menace and Barack Obama and George W. Bush. It's a big, complicated problem. And if you're just scoring political points on this, shame on you, which obviously the American Fascist Republican Party is doing. That just goes without saying. But those of us on the reasonable left try to stay reasonable. Try to stay intellectually honest. Everybody wants to paint you into their corner. They want you on their side, all these really strong advocates. And I'm a strong advocate of many things. But we can't lose the ability to see nuance. We can't lose the ability to see when things are complicated. I'm not in any way asking you to be a centrist on this. Well, both sides. No. That's the opposite of what I'm ever calling for. You know that. But it's complicated. It's nuanced. Joe is doing some things right. He's doing some things wrong. Call him out on what he's doing wrong. Praise him on what he's doing right. Let's all get together so that this kind of foolishness never happens again. And toss in a few I told you so's. Really, the only big segment we did on Afghanistan was an I told you so segment. It was mostly about the 20 years itself. It was the war itself in the very beginning of the so-called war on terror and how it never should have happened. So we did a whole I told you so segment. But this is about here and now. And I'm proud to say that many refugees are coming not too far from where I am right here in Wisconsin. And we should do everything we can to help them rebuild their lives. So, my kind of simple advice for the day. Don't get caught up in the partisan arguments. Don't feel like you have to label anybody, especially Joe. You don't have to label him at all. He's not a fool. He's not a hero. He's not incompetent. He's not a master chess player. Don't feel like you have to. MSNBC, especially, I saw a couple episodes of Lawrence O'Donnell's program. He's just, oh my God, completely overboard. This operation and Joe Biden are the greatest thing since General Patton. Just genius. Completely one-sided. Completely singing the praises of Joe Biden and this whole operation. It doesn't serve anybody. Cheerleaders aren't playing the game. Play the game. Get in the game. Don't be a cheerleader on the sideline. Not to say anything bad about cheerleaders in real life. Have fun. This is strictly a metaphor, a political metaphor. Don't stand on the sidelines and cheer for your heroes and throw slings and arrows at your supposed enemies. Get in the game. And I'm not saying enlist in the military and get on a plane. I'm saying engage in the conversation, engage in the decision making, because we as American citizens under the American system, we are the bosses of all military operations. Civilian rule of the military. It's one of the things the founders got right. So don't let the partisan politicians and don't let the profit-seeking media push you and pull you into their corners. All right, that's really my bottom line, okay? This story is far from over. There's lots left to happen. Participate in the national conversation. Be a part of it. Understand it as best you can. And participate in a way that can actually do some good and not just advance somebody's political agenda or revenue stream. Okay? All right. So there you go. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.